Goal setting's favorite lie: tomorrow. I'll start the new routine tomorrow. Make that call tomorrow. Launch that initiative tomorrow. For years, I lived in that loop. 90-day sprints, 90-day crashes. Sprint, crash, recover, repeat. I called it drive. It was dysfunction. Every Monday, I'd wake up energized, new goals, fresh plans, big promises. By Wednesday, something would derail me. By Friday, I was firefighting. And by Sunday, exhausted, promising myself next week would be different. The day I built rhythm, daily reflection, weekly resets, quarterly calibration, growth stopped feeling dramatic. It started feeling inevitable. Vision boards create adrenaline, not consistency. But success isn't an event, it's a rhythm. That's the law of momentum integrity, and it changes how you sustain velocity. In physics, momentum conservation says once an object reaches velocity, it takes less energy to stay in motion than it did to start moving. But momentum decays. Friction, persistence, resistance, interference all steal velocity. If you don't maintain rhythm, you don't just slow down, you stop. And restarting costs exponentially more energy. In business, the same principle governs progress. Consistency compounds, inconsistency resets. Here's the law: momentum integrity is proof of commitment. It compounds daily or decays overnight. Every day without action builds resistance. Maintaining momentum is always easier than rebuilding it. Gallup studied 22,000 entrepreneurs over 3 years. Those who acted daily on clear metrics outperformed planners who revisited goals without execution by 47%. And McKinsey found the same thing. Consistently raises self trust by 47%, compounding performance gains. Your Ferrari doesn't respond to bursts of acceleration, it responds to steady RPM. When rhythm becomes natural, momentum becomes inevitable. This is why vision boards create spectacular starts and quiet collapses. They ignite intensity, they don't sustain integrity. You feel the surge, you make big moves, then life happens. Urgency fades, the rhythm breaks. Vision boards celebrate the sprint. Physics rewards the hum. If you didn't act yesterday, you're not building a business, you're just imagining one. The shift isn't to work harder, it's to tune the rhythm. Stop asking, how do I get motivated? Start asking, what rhythm makes action inevitable? Instead of changing intensity, design consistency. Build loops that sustain momentum automatically, where discipline becomes design, not willpower. That's mechanics over motivation. That's how freedom stops being a fantasy and becomes a frequency. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. Najam Mohammed runs TriTalk, a global engineering company. His team lived on adrenaline: sprint, stall, recover, repeat. Big launches, big crashes, constant burnout. When we sat down, I asked him, do you want to be the Ferrari that wins sprints or the one that finishes races? We built a rhythm: weekly reviews, monthly recalibration, quarterly resets, no heroics. 18 months later, delivery reliability rose 40%. Burnout disappeared. Najam stopped being a crisis manager. He became a conductor. The Ferrari stopped overheating and started humming. What Najam discovered wasn't discipline, it was cadence, design. He built rhythms that sustain themselves, loops where momentum maintained naturally without force. That's what velocity looks like when integrity replaces intensity. Here's the truth: you're not stuck because you lack ambition, you're stuck because your rhythm's broken. Every goal on your vision board demands consistency. Your team doesn't doubt your vision, they doubt you'll show up for it tomorrow. When they see you sprint, crash, and restart, they quietly prepare for the next reset, because nobody wants to follow a Ferrari that keeps stalling out. Freedom doesn't come from working harder, it comes from building rhythm so strong that forward motion becomes your default state. Let me ask you two questions. If you didn't act yesterday, where did momentum break? Your vision board gave you direction, but where does your Ferrari lose tempo? Who could you become if consistently replaces crisis driving? That's the 11th law, momentum integrity. And here's what happens when rhythm becomes second nature. Momentum sustains itself. And once that happens, control becomes optional. That's the 12th law, the law of least interference. Why the highest form of freedom is where the Ferrari drives itself. Let's take a moment with this. There are Santa Claus, vision boards, plus blind faith, plus wishful thinking, all waiting for magic. This is where most of us still get stuck, waiting for something outside of us to move what only action can move. So look at the questions on the screen. Where are you passively waiting for magic instead of taking massive action? And as you reflect on this law, think about where that pattern shows up for you. Take a minute each to share with your partner what comes up.